Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review of The Bad Batch. Today, we're taking a look at Season 2, Episode 11, Metamorphosis. Oh boy, here we are. Um, so remember last week how I was complaining a little bit about the episode being, just a teensy bit boring. Just a little bit. I only kind of made an extra long review based on the material in the actual episode about why it was boring. But yeah, this episode was the opposite. This was a really, really good episode, very refreshing after last week. From the opening, kind of alien inspired, you know, in space, no one can hear you scream type horror, and then everything else just kind of devolving in a good way from there. Very, very fun episode. I really, really enjoyed this episode for multiple reasons. So I guess we'll go ahead and just kind of move chronologically through this. So Clone Commandos right off the bat, even though they're working for the Empire, I feel sorry for these guys because I have a great fondness for the Clone Commandos, especially in Legends and how they were, written in the old EU and everything, the Republic Commando novels, and like the stuff that went into their training, and they were a little more individualistic than the rank and file clone troopers, and everything. Some of them even left the army after the war and became Mandalorians and such. Just a lot of cool storytelling things they did with Commandos. So seeing that armor in general, I immediately have a fondness for that. Even when they're being used as bad guys here, I think to myself, who's that under that armor? What's their story? What are they like? So to have the insinuation that an entire crew of clone commandos survived the war only to get eaten by a baby Zillo beast is it's very disturbing, honestly. It's like, no, these poor troopers, these poor commandos. Calling them troopers even does them a disservice because of how highly they're trained. My only hope is that these are actually just regular people that are just wearing commando armor. It's like that would be, but I'm pretty sure you hear the screams, and that's the Deep Red the Baker clone screams. So yeah, never mind. But so yeah, we have that scary opening, and then we cut to the Bad Batch having that conversation with Sid. Kind of like how I said that they, the next episode really immediately kind of needed to address that, something with Sid where it's like, yeah, no, we are not happy with the situation. She kind of blows them off a little bit. They keep playing this more and more like she really is this grumpy Gus. And, she is mean and doesn't care about them at all. But I don't know. I feel like there's just been too many moments in this show so far where we've seen that she does have this softer side. And, she's still very, hardened individual that, it's hard to break through her scaly surface or whatever. But I feel like she does care about the Batch in a way. And I maybe I'm just... At this point, I'm kind of considering if maybe I've misread that or if I'm misremembering things, because I feel like over the course of the first season, she did just see them as, people to help her out on jobs as her little gophers or whatever. But then by the end of the season, she was kind of looking at them a little softer. And then the beginning of this season, where, she even says straight up to them about them running around doing jobs for her. She's like, hey, you want to do this job because I know you don't want to be working for me forever, because eventually the Empire will get here. So I am trying to help you reach that conclusion. And now we've gone on all these other side adventures and stuff like that to where I feel like we've lost that plot thread. And it's like they went on a treasure hunt with the one lady who hasn't popped up again. And so I am really questioning Sid's intentions at this point, because I've seen some of the reactions online. A lot of people just aren't liking Sid at all. And, it's kind of not exactly unwarranted, but I don't know. I'm just so conflicted with her because her behavior in the last 2 episodes have been very hostile to them, where meanwhile there's all this evidence of other moments in other episodes where she does kind of soften a moment to mentor Omega, and she is, kind of almost motherly with the batch, going, "Hey, no, I am trying to help you guys here. It's like strike out on your own, so you don't always have to be dependent on me because I do secretly care for you." It's like, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe that was just manipulation or something. So I don't know exactly what's going on with Sid. It's very weird. I'm that being a through line of the show. I'm actually very invested in, and I'm very curious to where that's going to go. Which is funny because I feel like a lot of people roll their eyes whenever Sid shows up at this point. So I don't know. That's definitely I am very eager to see where this is going to go. So yeah, moving on from that part, she does of course give them the coordinates to a crash transport, and it just immediately throws them into danger. Where, yeah, it's a baby Zillow beast, which is awesome. It's because unless I think they do a really good job of hiding it. Because you can kind of see some details of the creature. There's elements of the design that's similar to the Zillow Beast. But overall, I think it's different enough to where you can't tell that it's the Zillow Beast. Because it's a lot smaller. I mean, yeah, the head's kind of similar, but it's walking on all fours. The tail's got spikes on the end, but I mean, then it's just like a alien dinosaur type thing. So and it's all dark, so you can't really see what color it is. You don't see the eyes very well. And then a lot of shots, it doesn't even look like it has eyes. So those very distinctive green eyes, you can't even see. And then of course the fact that it feeds on electricity, that's not something that was ever mentioned in the Zillow Beast episodes from Clone Wars, where it's the gas is poisonous to it, and you can use that beam weapon to like subdue it, but it's like whatever it feeds on, that's never brought up. So I'm curious if that's like an actual thing in its biology, or if that's an engineering thing from the cloning. But yeah, no, the moment of realization where Tech says it's the same creature that attacked Coruscant during the war, it was a wait, what moment for it's like, creature that attacked Coruscant during the war, the only creature I can remember that attacked Coruscant during the, oh my gosh, as you see the head on the power station. It's like, it's the freaking Zillow Beast. It only took them like 14 years, but we finally got here, and it's glorious. It's the Zillow Beast. Honestly, I've been like giggling about it the last couple of days since I've watched this episode. Just it's the Zillow Beast. It's the Zillow Beast. Because those were two, those are two episodes where it's like, really, you can skip season 1 and 2 of Clone Wars. It doesn't get good until 3. What? It's like, those were fun episodes. Those were entertaining, fun, monster movie episodes for the show to do, with their Godzilla references and King Kong and all that. So, and of course it ends famously with that cliffhanger Dr. Bowl going. It's like, you want me to clone the beast? And then Palpatine rides off with that evil Palpatine smirk of his. So, my question now is, I wonder what happened to Dr. Bowl, because we haven't, it's possible that she might pop up here in another couple episodes. Or maybe there's an explanation of like, she ended up refusing to get on board what Palpatine wanted and he had her killed or something, which is totally plausible. It's so funny too, because Mount Tantus, which is confirmed of where what this is now. So that's more stuff being brought over from the Thrawn trilogy from back of the EU. That's really cool. But I feel like I don't think I said it in any of my reviews, but people talking about this online and everything, and ideas being spat around. It's really cool and surprising that they brought the Zillow Beast back, but it's not like unwarranted, and it's not like it's something that no one saw coming at all. Because I think this is one of the theories that have been floating. It's like, oh, what if they bring back the Zillow Beast? Because this would be time for it. I don't think I've mentioned it in any of my previous reviews, but it's certainly something I've thought of on my own. It's like, yeah, this would be a good time to bring back the Zillow Beast. If I did mention the Zillow Beast in one of my previous reviews, then that's going to be really funny, because I don't really have any memory of mentioning it in a review specifically, but just as except maybe as when are they going to get back to that? So, well, they finally got back to it. So yeah, really, really cool to see the Zilla Beast back. I'm really interested to see what they do with it going forward, because there's no way they bring it back for this one episode and that's it. And it's like, all right, there's your payoff. You never see it again. I mean, they have to. It has to be playing a bigger role in the rest of the season, I would imagine, even if it's only like in background glimpses and they mention it here and there, because we still don't really exactly know what they're doing with it. I mean, the idea that they could use the Zilla Beast armor and to try to grow their own type of armor like that to give their troops. And it's like that's the idea that's kind of floated around back in Clone Wars, and I think Tech says the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, in the right hands of a scientist, this could, this type of armor could easily be weaponized. Blah blah blah. But I don't exactly know how practical that is. So maybe the fact that the longevity of how long they can seemingly live, maybe and how intelligent they are for being. Maybe they are a sentient species. They just can't communicate like like in basic, like a lot of creatures in Star Wars. So I'm very curious if they will actually explicitly state what the purpose of cloning the beast is, because the armor and everything, that's probably the original intention, but I feel like that there's several other things that they could glean from that to use in building up to. I mean, let's face it, at this point, with the Zilla Beast coming back and cloning being a big thing in Bad Batch, and then of course Grogu in The Mandalorian, and seeing what are probably Snoke prototypes in the tubes, it seems like a lot of the Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau material for Star Wars spin-offs is kind of slowly building up the return of Palpatine as the Sith clone in Rise of Skywalker. So a lot of people are going to be ticked off about that, especially if like there is a specific line drop or something in Bad Batch at one point. It's like, yes, the Emperor wants a contingency in case something ever happens to him to where his spirit can inhabit a clone body or something like that. So, or if like the Bad Batch like set him back or something because they destroy all the cloning equipment, and that's why his body's kind of imperfect in Rise of Skywalker. Oh boy, I am tired and I'm yawning all over the place. I apologize. So yeah. Not really too many other notes. Lama Su's alive, which surprised me. I really thought he was dead, because they had the ominous troops surrounding him, and then the door close moment in late in season 1. So I mean, that's like, this person is dead. We're not going to show it 101. I think it's even mentioned earlier this season with Senator Bertoni, where she even says it's like Lama Su was a fool, so she even maybe thinks he's dead. So the fact that he's just being held prisoner is a little surprising. And I don't know, with him like immediately selling out Omega, it's like, you know what, I wish you were dead, you jerk. But I mean, yeah, his civilization's destroyed, and it's so sad too, because he was wanting to make the Kaminoans look like such an asset to the Empire. When if Tech is correct in the fact that the Empire destroyed Kamino to monopolize cloning, then it's like, no matter what he did, they were going to have the same outcome. So yeah. I think, as kind of a final note that I think is a little funny, I do find it a little funny how they kind of do like almost a typical cartoon, here's our lesson of the week of taking responsibility and everything, where Hunter says is like, all right, we're the ones that let this thing out now. It's our duty to catch it and everything. And then they start to try to catch it and everything, keep it away from the power station. But then like the moment the Empire shows up, Hunter's like, all right, we're out of here. We're hitting Splitsville. See ya. It's like they turn tail and run like really, really fast. I just found that a little funny. I don't know if that was really done intentionally. I mean, it made sense from a character standpoint. But I just did think that because I mean there's only like 2 minutes in between. All right, we have to help. All right, we're leaving. It's not long, but between all that, um, so I just found it really quite funny how quickly they're like, all right, we're out of here. See ya. Sorry, we tried. So, and then I guess my last final note is Scorch, which I don't think I'd mentioned him yet. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm starting to get things mixed up. Scorch being around, that's really interesting. D. Bradley Baker is not playing him with the lighter voice where he's the comedic relief like for Delta Squad. He is on his own here. So, and there's this really cool fan theory floating around that I don't know if they're going to pursue or not in the show, where Scorch is now a much more serious person because he had like a falling out with Boston Fixer after Sev was left behind on Kashyyyk. I could see that maybe being the case. Will they necessarily explore that? I don't know. But I mean, given the fact that this is a popular clone character from pre-Clone Wars, from the EU era and everything, and that there is this set of expectations of bringing these characters back, because whenever Delta Squad did make their brief appearance in season 3 of Clone Wars all the way back in the day, when they showed off that trailer at Comic-Con or Star Wars Celebration or whatever event they were at, I mean, I remember going on YouTube at the time and watching watching the grainy cell phone footage, being filmed in the crowd at the event. And Dave Filoni's like, "Oh, we got a clip to show you." And then the ramp goes down. The first thing you see are those 4 blue visors, and the room went bonkers. And it's just so I making Scorch more serious to fit the tone of the show here, and the fact that he's on I feel like that can work, even though he is supposed to be the comedic relief character. But I mean, he's on his own. It seems like he's leading a squad now instead of being, secondary member of it, and not being the commanding sergeant like Boss was. So, and what stuff has happened to him after the war and everything. Because I mean, we started to hear him kind of break up at the very end of Republic Commando, where it's like, one commando, and he's talking about my pod brother, and then the game basically ends after that. So I mean, there is room to do interesting character stuff with him, but if he's just gonna be another antagonist, where he's maybe just gonna fill in the role of Crosshair for a couple episodes or something, I don't know. So I really hope that whatever they do end up doing with Scorch, they do the character justice. Because even when he showed up in season 1, people flipped tables, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's Scorch. And then like the behind the scenes thing on StarWars.com is like, yes, we made him look like Scorch because as a nod to the fans, and everyone's like, so it's not Scorch. So that almost also makes me afraid that in this, on a script level, it wasn't intended to be Scorch, and it's like Clone Captain or something, which is why another reason why D. Bradley Baker isn't playing him, like, because I feel like if D cares about Clone Troopers so much, as evident by how long he's been playing them, and when he talks about the nuance and portraying all the different versions of clones and everything. So if he was told like, hey, this is a returning character from Legends, do some research on what Scorch is like as a character, and it's like, obviously bring your own take to it, but still be faithful to what came before, I feel like he would definitely play him a little lighter, not completely cuckoo crazy like Gregor, but I think he would still try to play it lighter, but kind of just doing the more stiff grunt type clone voice for Scorch makes me feel like almost that on a script level it was probably more like Clone Captain, and D wasn't really given any direction for that except just roboticized Clone Captain. And then of course, they go into animation and everything. They're like, yeah, we'll just go ahead and confirm. And they saw that, because I guess they'd probably be working on animating and editing these episodes by the time season 1 came out. So they probably saw people going, wait, so that's not Scorch? And they went, okay, we'll just go ahead and confirm it's Scorch to make everyone happy. So, but that may be the wrong move, because you could just say it's a clone wearing armor similar to Scorch, but it's not him. And so if like he acts out of character or gets killed off really easily, then people won't throw a fit. 'Cause it's like, okay, weird that you put him in Scorch's clothes, but at least it wasn't actually him, and so he wasn't out of character. So I am a little trepidatious about what they end up doing with Scorch, because he is, I do hold that character very highly, as an old fan favorite of mine personally, because he did bring a lot of good humor to Republic Commando in a game that was very dark and gritty a lot of the times, especially on the prosecutor levels and everything, which I have a full Let's Play of Republic Commando on my channel, by the way, just in case you're curious. So I talk a lot about Republic Commando and stuff then, during that Let's Play as well. So it's like just a really fun game in general. So I hold it very, very dear to my heart and everything. So it's like, so the Republic Commando characters from that game and the books and everything, I enjoy. And so the fact that they're kind of, some of them are slowly starting to get a little sprinkled back in, like Scorch here, that's just really cool. I like that. So hopefully nothing bad happens to Scorch. But at the same time, it's like, do they have any more room in this show for new real actual characters when we haven't even seen Crosshair since episode 3 of this season, and we're almost to the end, because we have, let me see here. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 5 episodes left, or 4 weeks, because episode 15 and 16 come out the same week. So we've got the rest of the month of March here. So we've had Metamorphosis. Next is the Outpost. That could mean anything. Pabu. Now knowing what we know, I'm curious if like Pabu is like the Zillow escapes again, or they find another Zillow and it's another baby and it's a lot nicer or something, and so then they name it Pabu. That would be something. And then Tipping Point, obviously that's your mid-season finale, and then you got, not mid-season, but penultimate episode before the finale, and then the Summit and Plan 99 are the finale. The Summit and Plan 99, those are definitely taking place on Tantus, just because it's a big mountain and one of the names is the Summit. I mean, come on. So I don't know. We've only got a couple episodes left here, and now they're throwing in Scorch from Republic Commando, and we haven't even seen Crosshair around for a while. So. And then we've got to resolve the thing with Sid. So there's a lot happening in these last couple episodes. I mean, we've got 5 whole episodes left, 4 weeks. So I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. But yeah, this was a much better episode than last week. I was really happy with this one. And you'll hear a little bit more about it in my review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. But I think I like this episode overall more than Season 3, Episode 1 of Mando, just because it did have that big shocking moment of, oh my gosh, it's the Zillow Beast, which is just, it's the Zillow Beast. So yeah, that's going to be it for this review. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are in the description below, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.